war, and trade. Infected rats and fleas hid in grain carried by marching armies and trade caravans. They spread the disease as they moved. From China all the way to port cities on the Black Sea. In 1345, Mongols attacked the city of Kaffa. Surrounded, Kaffa's inhabitants barricaded themselves behind the city's walls and prepared for a long siege. Outside the city, the Mongols began to die from the plague in great numbers. And in an early example of biological warfare, they took the bodies of their dead and catapulted them over the city walls, knowing the plague would spread within. As death spread throughout Kaffa, those who could leave the city did. Some traders and merchants fled to Italy, unknowingly bringing with them infected rats and fleas, and plague. One Italian described the homecoming this way.
Once our ships had brought us to port, we went to our homes. And because we had been delayed by tragic events, and because there were scarcely 10 survivors from 1,000 sailors, relations, kinsmen, and neighbors flocked to us from all sides. But to our anguish, we were carrying the darts of death. While they hugged and kissed us, we were spreading poison from our lips, even as we spoke.
Over the next 4 years, bubonic plague swept across northern Africa, Italy, France, and Spain, then into Hungary, Russia, and Sweden. All were devastated by the plague. In some places, more than half the people died. In the French city of Avignon, 11,000 corpses were buried in just 6 weeks. Half the population of Paris died, 50,000 people. Europe was in chaos. No one knew what or who was to blame. Some people thought it was a punishment from God. Gabriele de Mussis echoed these feelings when he wrote,
"What are you thinking of, merciful God, thus to destroy your creation and the human race, to order and command its sudden annihilation in this way?"
Bands of people, convinced the end of the world was near, roamed the countryside, beating themselves with barbed whips, calling on people to repent their sins. Some scholars thought that the alignment of the planets had caused the epidemic. Other people thought that they were being poisoned by Jews. Because of this religious prejudice, thousands of Jews were killed. The plague changed Europe forever, especially the feudal system. Because millions had died, there was a shortage of peasants to work in the fields. The survivors demanded better payment for their labor, and when some nobles refused, angry peasants revolted. Feudalism began to crumble. No one knows why, but this outbreak of bubonic plague died out in Europe, taking with it about 1/3 of the population. Within a few years, a disease changed history. Entire towns were wiped out. Young and old, nobles and peasants, all fell victim to bubonic plague.